Hello everyone and welcome back to Cities by Steven. You're talking to Steven. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Get that bell notification on too so you don't miss out on an episode. Welcome to the Skyline6 European adventure, the next installment with Skyline6. And I'm so excited to be building with you today. I'm going second in this awesome European build collaboration project. And Flyvox went first and started us off with an amazing build. We're going to be checking out Flyvox's build and the map before we get started on our build today, but I'm so excited to be bringing you a really fun build. So let's hop out and take a look at the city. So welcome to the Skyline6 European adventure. Welcome to the series, and I'm so excited to be building on this amazing map called Vitrale Mountains by Redmender. It can be found in the workshop, and I'll link it in the description below, along with all the mods and assets that we're using in this series. There's also a list of all the builders in the series in the description, which includes the Skyline6 crew, along with just an elite list of guest builders. I can't wait to be building alongside everyone in the series, but let's take a look at what Flyvox started us off with last episode, in episode 1 of the Skyline6 European adventure. So we have an amazing bike-friendly residential community over here with a cool education park over here as well. And then we have our main train station for the build, along with a sports stadium and a leisure zone. And then we also have an industry zone with some power and water facilities and a unique farm along the hillside. So we are going to be building over here today, but let's take a quick peek at the map because the map is beautiful. We have two distinct little coves here separated by this very mountainous peninsula. And I thought that this area would be suited for my kind of build and my kind of European adventure. Why? Because I'm looking at this area and I'm thinking this could be a really cool spot for a historical city. When I go to Europe, or when I'm thinking of traveling to Europe, I always try and visit some really awesome historical sites. And I'm thinking that if we build an amazing historical kind of city here, it would be really cool as a destination for some tourism. So I was thinking that this area would be really amazing for a historical city for a couple reasons. One, it's a really unique little space here, separated by this large forest, surrounded by mountains on all sides, but in particular because of this bay here. This is a deep water port and in a natural cove or natural harbor. So this screams to me mercantile medieval city. So I am going to be building a walled city in this area here with a bit of a modern flair. I'm going to be building it for as if the city exists today, with some modern aspects to this historic city. So we'll have our historic city center with a modern train station, some modern buildings, and an extension of a more modernized port. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be starting off with some terrain work. All right, fantastic. We have kind of just dredged the port a little bit just to show these darker cliff edges, which kind of, to me, signify that it's a bit more of a deep water port just by the shading there. We also kind of leveled out the middle of this area here, in particular because we want for this walled area to kind of be fairly level throughout the build. So we're going to be starting off by building the wall of this city. So we're going to be starting off kind of just defining the zones of the historic mercantile medieval city, and we are going to kind of just if we see this dark kind of outline, we're going to be kind of roughly taking that area. We're also going to be building a bit of an old fortification on this little peninsula. Why would we do that? Well, it seems to me that this area is going to be or would have been a great spot for some defenses, particularly because we have this harbor and it would be overlooking the harbor, and everywhere else in this area has some good natural defenses with these cliffs. So I was thinking that if there were a need for defense for this medieval city, the wall plus the natural seawall and this fortification in the port would be sufficient. So we're going to hop out into this view here. We're going to grab find it, and we're just going to simply type in castle. And castle brings us up some amazing assets. We have these old turrets. One of them is a bit less destroyed than the other. We also have the old castle ruins. We also have some castle walls here as well. So to start out with, we're going to be kind of looking at this fort, and then we'll be building the wall extension. For the start of the build, we're going to be just using the completed walls, not the destroyed walls. We will come back in the detailing portion of this video and replace some of the full complete walls with some more destroyed versions. It's just going to be simpler to start off with that. So we have this castle here. It's awesome, but let's try and define where and how this castle will be lined up for defense. So I'm thinking that if we line it up like this, it would probably be sufficient, because if we kind of wall off the whole area here around this little peninsula, it would kind of create a bit of a courtyard for mustering the arms, and we'll also have a unique little entrance at the front of the building. So we have the building control mod. This is going to be amazing. We're going to have no flattening on this building, which means that it's not going to kind of create a unique little hitbox around the rectangle of the building. So we'll do that, and then we will also start getting the walls in. So with the building of the walls, there will be some hitbox that kind of pops up, but we can't really change that. So I'm just going to kind of build around the area here. We're going to make sure that we don't have collision as well. But basically the concept here is just going to be creating some walls for the defense of the harbor. All right, so now that we have the kind of basics of our fortifications here, we're going to be adding in some turrets along the kind of in the corners of the walls here for some extra defense. So the reason why we don't have walls along this side as well, it would be defended by the port area as well. We're going to be doing a bit more terrain work as well, just to kind of make these cliffs right here a bit sharper. But I left this gap here for a road because I know that's exactly the spot where I'm going to want a road into the area. But there will be other entrances in the area here. We just got to figure out the roads, which we'll be doing next. So let's hop out and go back to our find it area here. We have our two castle tower ruins. All right, so we're right here, and this is a great spot for a couple of reasons. This is kind of a natural little valley, I guess, between these two hills, and I left this hill here because of the fortification. Would be really nice in this area, but also we'll create another bit of a gate here for a road. And we are going to have 2 more gates in this area at least, in the city at least, but I thought that we would build this one differently than the other 2. So we have our door on one side, so I'm just going to make sure that it is accessible from the inside of the castle itself. And then we'll have, yeah, look at that, that's great. So we'll have a road running through there, and then we'll have a bit more of a destroyed turret there. And then we'll have our full turret right here, right along the edge of the castle, kind of hiding the awkward corner. Yeah, and we still have the doorway there too. So all in all, this is a pretty great little start here. We have our walled city. That's awesome. So we're going to start bringing in some roads here and looking at where those gaps in the wall are going to be for these roads. So I'm going to actually start extending out in the map a little bit more, because we are kind of building far out of the way from where any of the roads actually are. So my plan here is we're going to build a road running from our little defense fortification here into this forest. We're going to stop it there because I don't want to intrude on anyone else's build. We'll throw it right into the forest, and then we have access for this zone here. We'll also build another entrance into the city in this kind of section here, and we'll run a road around this little cove here into the forest, where again we'll have good access into this area here. We'll then bring a road from the middle here in this long stretch. That's why I left it here as a long walled stretch. We're going to break it, and we'll have an entrance into this area where we're going to have a bit more of our modern city. We'll have our road running through here, and this one will connect actually up into Flyvox's build, winding and twisting and curving around the mountains, giving tons of road access for future builds in the area. After that, we're going to actually look at building an interchange right here. Why an interchange? Well, the only interchange on the map right now is this one here, which is pretty far out of the way. I don't want to draw all the traffic from my city through Flyvox's residential community. That just doesn't track for me. So we're going to be building just a very simple diamond interchange here, which I will notify all the builders in the series that this one can be totally changed and edited as you please. This one is just for necessity today. So we'll start off with the roads in this area here. And then we'll move on to the interchange next. All right, so we have our regional road networks kind of done now. So we have our one road that runs from the city into this area here, which will give access to this zone in this area. And then we have it split off into two, one that bypasses the city, one that goes through the city, which will then connect up into this area. But I'm actually realizing I'm going to connect up this to here at some point. And then we have a straight road running through the city, which we'll get to in a minute. And then we have that bypass road that runs all the way through the forest. I've sloped it properly so it's all smooth and there's no crazy bumps. We have a bit of a bridge here just because it looks like there's a bit of a wash through the mountain here. And then we have it running all the way up this cliff and then down into Flyvox's build, connecting right up with this road here, which connects up with the main road connecting to the roundabout. So I will definitely see a bit of traffic flow through here, but I'm hoping that by building the interchange next, we can steal a lot of the traffic that's going through this area, or would go through this area, and move it in through this interchange into here. And all the traffic flowing from here to here is genuine traffic traveling between the two areas. So let's take a look at the area that we want to build in. So we have this cliff right here that goes over top of the highway. And this is just the perfect spot for a bridge over the highway, which we can make into an interchange. This is going to be really important because of all the traffic that's going to be going into this area. But not only my little build here, but any builds in this area, up in here, over in here, even potentially over here, over on this side, can flow through this area. So I'm just going to build a very simple diamond interchange for this area here. And once we are done it, we can then hop out and back into the city and start building out these little teeny roads, which will form the unique road layout of our medieval city. All right, so we have our diamond interchange ready over here. It's not exactly a diamond. It's got some curves on the on-ramps and off-ramps. That's because of the very excessive terrain in this area, right? So in order to accommodate the slopes, we needed to create some curves to kind of elongate both ends of the off-ramps and on-ramps. So I've tried to make it as symmetrical as possible while maintaining a slope within 1% on all four of the on-ramps and off-ramps. But we have a bit of a connection over here where we have a road access into this pocket over here and then road access over into here as well. So this can be an interchange that can be modified if needed, changed up entirely. But I think it's going to work for the needs for a little while. So I'm looking at this part here now, particularly because we have a 4-lane road here. And I'm thinking this is a perfect opportunity to split those 4 lanes, 2 lanes on each side, into 2 separate roads. So if we bring this straight down, it's a very straight slope. We can connect up 1 lane going this way and 1 lane going that way. So I think it would be a good option, perhaps even a roundabout. So again, because this is such a straight road here, totally eligible to be changed. So yeah, let's do a roundabout. We will bring this road right down into here, roundabout, and then we have our 2 different directions. All right, so we have our roundabout now over here, which is great. And then we have some really smooth flow through this forested area. Good curves all around on the roads. And then we have this extension up through here as well, which I might reforest through here a little bit too, but I might not. So yeah, now we're at the point where we're gonna start building inside of the medieval walled city. This is very exciting. I never really do European builds, so I'm really excited to kind of try this out and really get kind of into the weeds of the city layout. We're going to be adding in some fun, unique buildings as well, some landmarks, some parks, some hotels. What European medieval city isn't a medieval city without some couple tourist hotels, right? And then we'll kind of dive in to building it up, really completing the medieval part of the city. We'll then kind of move into the port area, and then we'll get the train in. And the train will be kind of coming in through here, I think, and we'll get some more modern extensions of this city as well. So that's the plan. Let's get going. All right, so I think I have pretty much the layout for everything that's not in the center core here. And this is because there's a couple buildings that I want to throw down here that are going to really dictate how the road layout kind of goes around them. I know when you're kind of building a historical city, you might want to think about maybe that the roads were there first, but I really want these two buildings in this city. So let's take a look at what those are. So I was kind of looking around before I started building, and I was kind of realizing that there is a really, really cool building that that we could use here. It is this one, the Old Market Street Sub Building. This is in Find It, and if you go under the Sub Buildings tab, there is basically the Old Street Market unique building. However, this building itself is lacking the this version of the building is lacking the pedestrian road in it. And I was thinking that this is just absolutely perfect for this straight piece of road right here, particularly because there's these two turrets on this side. They don't exactly match the turrets of the castles that we're using on the walls. However, perhaps this is an even older part of the city. So if we just line it up right, we just gotta move this one right here. Get out of here. And we just line it up with this street. It lines up absolutely perfectly. And we have the straight shot right through here. And yeah, it's just going to look incredible. Cars driving through here. There's like a little toll booth right through here. Maybe it's like a tourist guide. And then if we take our wall, we can just line it up so that it goes right into the first turret. All right, very cool. So yeah, this looks a lot better. We have this little pocket right through here that will definitely have to be some sort of plaza or park or tourist center at least. But yeah, this will be great. We're definitely gonna kind of change up the roads as we kind of go along as well. These are just basic planning roads. But yeah, look at this. So we have entrances and exits on this side of the building. It's a bit tricky to see with the shadow there, but they do exist. We see on this side, it'll be a lot clearer. They're pretty much the same. So I'm thinking what we do is we utilize this to kind of show that perhaps there is a road here. So we have trees along the wall. I'm going to change that up to a street with parking at this point. And we're just going to go right to here. And then we're going to connect up and just go around. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we have that one. The sub buildings tab is just incredible. I really like this. We're already kind of seeing the style that we're going to go for. And then there's one more building that I just can't ignore at this stage that we definitely need, and that is the cathedral. The cathedral is just awesome. It is, you know, a lot of European cities have these main cathedrals in it. So yeah, let's plop this in. I was thinking of getting it still off of the main street here, but perhaps we kind of get it right like this. We have a lot of space, but I would imagine that it would be much more central into the core of the city. So we can plop this down right here. This is actually a really good spot for it. Maybe even right like this, down through here. That would kind of make sense if this was the castle. It's a straight line to the chapel. So let's just try and maneuver things around a little bit. So now that we have those two buildings in place, those are the two major ones that I wanted to get. We can get some other parks in as well. But I think we can kind of just slide those in after we get the roads going. All right, so I think this is going to be a good start for us. So now that we have those in place, I really want to get some buildings in and some hotels in as well. I'm going to just kind of mix them in, but I'll show the hotels that I'm looking at for the build here. So we have a couple really cool ones. So there's this one, which is the hostel, I think. Yeah, the town hostel. And this one is great because it's got a good corner on it, but also it has some interesting kind of features as well on the back side of it. So a couple of these ones, there's a couple different versions I think will fit really well into this European style, so I'll use that one. And then I think that might be it. Yeah, we might kind of squeeze in one of these ones, a bit more of a modern budget hotel somewhere as well, maybe in a more renovated looking area. But yeah, we'll use some other hotels later on. There is this one, the small hotel, but I don't know if it exactly fits exactly with it because of the large parking lot. We can just plop it down right over here. Actually, you know what? I bet we could kind of squeeze this in. So let's work with that. And I think that's it. We'll throw some parks down as well, but we're going to go into a larger time lapse here while I kind of play with some of the buildings. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into these buildings here. We're going to turn this off here. There we go. And we're just going to go into the high density commercial, residential, and office. And we're just going to type in the term block, and that's going to pull up all of the block houses. And we have this here to play with. We can kind of shrink it down to just 1 by whichever, 3 by 2s and whatnot. So we're just going to throw them down as we see fit because of yeah, we're going to kind of squeeze them together and make them really look like true European cities, and they're going to follow the curves rather than just kind of using the zoning to plop them down because there's too many spaces. They don't line up exactly, so we're going to place them all by hand. All right, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I'm not sure how much of the building placement actually made it into the episode, but yeah, we have like this elevated residential district over here. We got a lot of parkland, some roads and paths that lead up to the castles and the fortifications, which is nice. The cathedral is very centrally located. We have a couple hotels. We have one here, and then right here as well. We got a bus depot. We don't actually have any buses running yet, but I thought that was a centralized location. Perhaps it was an older building was torn down, and this was the replacement. We got a lot of parking as well, and some open space that we still haven't yet to fill. But I really like this theme. It looks really, really good. We have a bit maybe more of a modernized district with a bit more squared roads and whatnot, but then we have the older style where there's a lot more curves, and we're really kind of just forcing these buildings in together, which is really fun. I really enjoy this build, but we're not done. Obviously, it's lacking a lot of detail. We got to throw that in, but we'll be doing that at the end of the episode. So we're going to be actually moving on to the port next and the castle. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so when I'm thinking about the castle, I really want there to just be kind of like a spot where people can go grab a tour guide and get kind of exploring this cool castle. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw down a bit of a park district over top of this, and we're just going to kind of eat away at this pedestrianized district, which I placed down a bit earlier. But yeah, okay, so we have Cozy City Park. I don't think that name's gonna stay, but we have a couple options for the kind of entry, and I was looking at this one here as being a really cool one to do. Mainly because I really like that when we're looking at it, it says, it's a bit in the shadows, but it says National Park. And I would say that this is definitely worthy of being a national park with this awesome castle. Oh, we have a black cab coming up through here. So let's kind of work out a little bit to kind of fit this in perfectly. I don't really want the turrets kind of going over top of anything. So we will just kind of play around with it really briefly. Okay, so we have our cozy trail apparently now. And what we're going to do is just keep it extremely simple. This is going to be because we already have so much amazing things going on with the tour of the castle. We don't need to squeeze in gazebos or anything like that. Now, technically, this is a nature reserve because we have this national park district over top of it, but I think all we really need is just the dirt paths running through it. We don't really need anything else going on at all, but I think all we really need is to look at see where these doorways are. So there would definitely be a path way running through there, and then if we just kind of sneak these little paths running through these doorways of the castle, I think we can get some great little walking tours through here. Now we could throw a walking tour actually down, which is something that is actually a pretty good option. But either way, we might squeeze in one building in this kind of courtyard just to kind of get people walking through it. And we'll get people walking right alongside here. Very good, very good. We are all connected up. And then we have this awkward kind of space because the terrain between the dirt path and the nature reserve path doesn't really click. So the best way to kind of get that to remove itself is just by clicking in some paths horizontally, and there we go. So now we do have like a bit of space that we could kind of throw down a few fun items. So let's do that really quickly. All right, so I really like what we did with the castle here. We have our awesome entrance, and then we have a bit of detailing throughout here, including a path all the way around. This is really awesome. I also added a bunch of signs everywhere, kind of like at each point of interest in the castle. And there's a gazebo maybe for some storytelling time about some going-ons of the castle itself. There is, of course, washrooms. And a bit of a fire pit, which I thought would kind of add a bit of uniqueness in the nighttime. So yeah, we have a bit of a tour along the outside too. It doesn't go too far because I don't want it to extend. And as I placed this fence, the wall got destroyed. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's I'm gonna leave it. It's pretty cool. And then we also added in some rock features along the side with some weeds growing through it, because I'm sure that's not very well upkept. But now we're going to move down into the port area, and I'm kind of thinking of what I really want with this. So I would imagine that historically this port, the historical port no longer exists. I'm sure it's been renovated, maybe even destroyed at some point. So I'm going to run with a bit more of a modernized aspect of this being a tourist city. So we're going to put a ferry stop in here, and then maybe just a couple nice areas to have lunch and whatnot. And wow, the people are really moving through here. Off camera, I added in 4-lane roads running right through here, and that's pretty much it. But we have a lot of people coming in, and this is awesome. So I guess it's time to establish a bit of lore with this city, isn't it? We have a few things going on now. So I think that we should name the park area over the castle the name of the person who perhaps built the castle. And I am going to say that this is Lord Kevin of the Dog's castle. Kevin of the Dog perhaps ruled over this area so long ago. So this is Lord Kevin, and the dog is the name of the town. So Lord Kevin of the Dog. And yeah, so we have our name of our districts in here now. So that's really fun. So medieval ruler of the area is Lord Kevin of the Dog. And the dog is the name of the town. Is it related to canines? Not sure. It's just the name of the town. So let's move into the port now. All right, so we have the main aspects of the port already kind of done. It's maybe a touch too low. We constantly are having these these trucks come by, so I think I might need to raise this one up just a little bit. That's the one that's really important, the ferry depot, and I guess this one as well is getting a bit, the Sen Pier. But we'll see. These trucks might just need to stay here forever. But yeah, so I wanted to go with like an abandoned kind of remodel view of it. So we have the ferry pier, we have the Sen Pier, which is just kind of like a pier that gets you down into the water itself, which is cool. It's a bit flooded right now, but that was the idea at least. Perhaps I can raise it a little bit more. But yeah, so let's go into move it here really quickly, exit out of this, and then just click page up until we get to where we need to be. Perhaps it's just high tide right now. That's what we'll roll with. It's just high tide. But then we have a picnic pier area here, which is tied in with the castle over here. So we're gonna get a lot of people coming out this way. We already do have a ton of people coming out this way, which is great. And then we have a sunken pier. Perhaps it was destroyed, and it's just been left here. We also have an old dock right here, and then all these posts are to represent long forgotten piers as well. But then on top of this, we have this boardwalk along the waterfront here, which is going to take us over to this little peninsula. We're going to add a little bit to it, but I want to complete this area first. We do have this hole here. I think it's related to this pier. We're going to have to leave it there, so we're going to try and build over top of it. So what is the plan for this? Well, I think I'm going to slope this out, maybe pull this back a little bit and try to get just a couple buildings in here. I don't really mind if there's really not, though, but we'll try and get maybe a bit of a market as well. All right, so we have the main little port here, and I really like this. This is really nice. We have a bit of a market, perhaps a remnant of perhaps a historical fish market or something like that, but there's no longer fishing out of this port. Yes, we have a bit of a parking, some commercial zoning. Really like this little corner here. It's really cool. Some older shops along the side here, and a big residential group of buildings right through there. Yeah, this is really, really nice. I'm really enjoying this. We added a bit of trees as well. They kind of hide the awkward, like plain brick walls. Yeah, so now we're going to kind of look over here. We're going to grab a road, and this is going to be really important here because we are going to need to make sure that this road is relatively well sloped because we're going to be adding in the ferry depot in this area. And mainly because I want to make sure that the next person who wants to build ferries already has that available to them. And I think we can squeeze it in. I don't think it's going to be too disruptive on what I have planned here. So I think we can get this done. And before I forget, we actually have an awesome mod here that allows us to force the historical buildings on everything inside of the district. We're gonna do the same thing right here with the dog port, and we're gonna force historical right here. So now all the buildings shouldn't change, but they can still level up. That's my understanding at least. Okay, so from this point here, we're gonna then grab a dirt road, and the dirt road's gonna kind of act as our breakwater. Okay, so we're actually going to take out a bit of earth here as well, really make it look like it's a sheer cliff. And we're just going to bump this out a little bit as well, just to about there. Very, very good. Let's now clear the trees out of the zone because we're going to use this spot for a bit of a hotel. And why a hotel? Well, I always think of this here as a bit of a conference center. I don't really, it looks like it has like maybe a couple like ballrooms or something like that in here with some great waterfront access. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ferry depot, does it? So we're just going to grab a road. And then what we'll do is we'll grab our hotel, and we're going to go with a bit of a modern one. because this is definitely a bit more of a modern eyes part of the port. And we're going to go with the City Hotel. Now, this City Hotel might not make us a ton of money, but it's going to give us a really cool vibe here. So we're just going to plop this down, center it just so that all the trees on the building are and the fence actually kind of line up properly. And this is a little too tall, although I would imagine that if you're staying at the penthouse suites here, this is a pretty darn good view. So maybe we don't want it too much shorter. All right, so I'm done playing with the water because we keep flooding everything. So that's really funny. Yeah, this looks really, really good. I'm really enjoying this. We have our ferry depot here. We have our hotel. We have a bit of a warehouse. I decided to go with that route. A relic of the bygone days of this being a fishing port or something. But we have a few more things to do. Hopefully the water balances it out. I'm just going to draw a path in through here, probably a continuation of our boardwalk theme. That is because I don't know what's happening over here, so I just want to give that option available. So yeah, we'll grab our boardwalk and we'll just go right to here and just kind of bring it right down like that. And this gives an option for future development with the boardwalk. So yeah, that is fantastic. I really love this little addition here. Works out really, really well. And hopefully people actually use this hotel. It's not going to be the most profitable hotel, but it's looking cool. That is the idea, at least. That is the port. I'm really enjoying this. I kind of like it. I kind of want to just, maybe add a bit of earth around here where we might flood everything again. It just looks a little too bumpy, and maybe a bit too fake, perhaps. So I'm trying to make this seem a bit more realistic, best we can. But yeah, this looks a little bit better. But now we need to add in our ferry, our ferry lines here. We're just going to connect up. So we added boats, and boats are in the sub buildings category on Find It, and I thought that was funny. But these boats would, probably come in through this area. So we're leaving the path free, but we have this boat. This is from the boat hotel, and I think that this cruise would definitely come in through here. Perhaps it's a day cruise liner, perhaps it's just a smaller cruise liner, but we also have some conglomerations of perhaps private boaters, some smaller boats, people who are just out for a little day trip coming in through here, kind of just filling up the harbor a little bit. And then we have this steamboat through here, which I'm trying to make look like perhaps it's docking in the ferry port here. And we have a couple other boats in this area too. Not too many, don't want to overcrowd it. Yeah, we don't have a marina. That's something that I don't think I can really fit in with the theme of this build. So yeah, whoa, we're getting some more flooding with the water here. Oh no, hopefully it lines up. But yeah, okay, so with that, we are now kind of done our historical part of the build. And now we need to move on to the more modern side of things. We're not going to go any further to the left side of the screen than this. We're going to leave most of this area forested still. We might even add forest all the way up into here. But then all we need to do now is bring in the train line. The train line will have a cool station, and then we'll just add a bit more modern flair to it. Then we'll just look at detailing up the whole area here. We're not going to touch the islands, maybe a bit more down in the port, really fill in the city, and maybe add in some cool walking paths through this forest. The reason why I've left this forest here is because it's such a dense pocket of nature, and oftentimes beside old medieval areas, there is a big pocket of nature for the king's hunting grounds or something like that. So I thought this was a really cool kind of option to have right outside the city walls. I thought that was really, really neat. So let's get going on the train line. And the train line that I'm looking at is kind of over here. So we have Fly's build over here. We have our main train station. And then I've been going back and forth on how we're going to get a train over here because we have a huge mountain in the way. So my original idea was kind of just bringing it up through here, swinging it around, kind of disrupting this creek though, which I didn't really love. But then as I looked around here, I'm looking at where the train line extends to on this beautiful, beautiful map. And we have this great spot here. We have a nice, pretty flat area here. If I were to bring a train line from here, connecting over top of the island, perhaps going over top of the bridge, we have this ravine. And I think that this is a really good opportunity to kind of get a realistic train line in at a realistic grade without doing too much drastic terrain work. So we can kind of get going up through here, maybe a bit of a tunnel through this pocket, and then we emerge really well at our destination point. All right, so we have our train line now, and I'm really enjoying this. We have the Y right here for the train, kind of goes through this little forested area, which is really nice, and we have both directions as well. We then emerge over here where we have a cool bridge. Oh, looks like I need to make sure that this is sloped properly. I'll get back to that in a second. Then we are using this cool bridge from the Bridges and Piers DLC. Yeah, I thought that the blue really looked good, kind of changing things up from the normal rail bridge. Yeah, I really like using these unique bridges. And I think we found a good spot to cross the river here too. But then we emerge here, we go over top of the road here. We sunk it down a little bit, swinging slowly around the mountain, of course. That would be a very slow little ride. Up through here, very slow. We have a bit of terrain work I got to do here. And then we go through a tunnel, which is very well sloped. All the way through here, we re-emerge. We go elevated over top of this valley here, and then we're on top of this cliff face where we will then start to sink down into the train station. So let's fix those little quick things up, and then we'll talk about the train station. All right, so when I'm thinking about the train station for this area, I'm thinking about maybe making it a bit of a terminus station for this line. However, I want to give the option so that it could be extended in the future should we want to. So there's one train station that I had in mind. This was the only one that really hit the mark when I was thinking about what I wanted to do here, and that is this train station, the Ground Island Platform train station. This is my favorite train station in the game. I just think it is so perfect. Let's just plop it down, and then I'll just move it into place. Ooh, maybe not there because I don't want to destroy the road, because it does need a bit of a road connection. So where should we get this train station? I was kind of thinking over in this little pocket here, but maybe up in this elevated area could be good as well, because then it gives us good options to expand over into here should we need to. So let's throw that road down. I'm just going to throw this right about here. It doesn't really matter. And then we'll get that train station in and we'll link it up. All right, so we've settled with this. So this way we have our train line here, and we can technically move some terrain, and we can get this train line going further, but it does look like a really good terminus station. This asset in particular works really well, mainly because of the large split island here. But then we go right into a tunnel. The slopes were a little tough to get a train station at a proper spot where I wanted it for the town. So yeah, we go right into a tunnel instead. I know I just flipped it around from what I had before, and then we just emerge lightly right here above ground, and then we go right back into the tunnel, and we get back to our ravine line. So yeah, that was fun. A good little extended train line, which gets the trains all the way out into here. So let's throw that train line in now before I forget. And we'll have this one run right from this side of the train line, our train station, all the way past here, all the way into our train station over here. So we'll get that in, and then we'll go right back, and we'll get maybe, whoa, where are we? Here we are. We'll get maybe like 2 trains running this this line. All right, so for the most part, we got the roads in place here. This is going to really fill out really nicely. But there's one thing that I haven't really done yet in the city, and I mentioned it before, and I wanted to kind of change up the roads. I just use basic roads as kind of a planning thing, and then once I see the road network actually like really play out, that's when I add in stuff like bike lanes. So Flyfox's build has so many bike lanes in here, and I just can't ignore that. So I had a great idea to, whoa, there's trees in the road. I'll clear that in a second. To instead of using a bike path here, I'm going to use, like a bike lane in the road. I'm going to use a bike path. It's going to run all the way along the outside of the path of the roadway, all the way to the train station. So I thought that would be a really good way to kind of connect this area up with bikes. All right, so we have a bike path and our pedestrian path side by side all the way along that highway. So we have fencing on both sides. We have the nature reserve fence, because I thought it looked like maybe a fence that hasn't been upkept in a little while. So we have it on both sides of the bike path using the parallel tool in the network multi-tool. And it looks like this person's cycling on the sidewalk. Come on, we have our big bike path right through here. And our train coming in. I think that's a train from out of the city, because I think this is the train that we are waiting for. Yeah, this is the train that is going back and forth between the central station and here. Lots of people are using the train station already, which is fantastic to see. But yeah, let's take a quick peek through here. So we have our bike path, pedestrian path. We have a little intersection here where people can hop on between the paths themselves. And we have the lights on either side of the path as well. So we have on the pedestrian path, we have the lights on the outside, and on the bike path, we have the lights on the inside. So I thought that was a good little combination here. And yeah, so it goes all the way around. We get to this intersection here, and we have the same kind of thing. We have a connection here, so people can technically go between the road and the paths. Then we swing all the way over to here, where we have our little bridge for runoff in the mountains, and so we have that tied in with our paths as well. I might actually upgrade this while we're talking here to a this style of pedestrian bridge, because I just think that might look nicer as a combination here. So let's make sure we have collision off. We'll just do that, and yeah, that does look a lot nicer, and we shouldn't see any issues between pedestrians using the nature reserve with decorations to this path. It's the same type of use, so we are probably good. We'll just link this up so it looks like it's one bridge. Very good. All right, so we have that, and it goes all the way back to Flyvox's area through here, where we have a little bit of an extension of the path here to kind of access this little cove of the river. And we swing all the way down into Fly's build, where we see people taking their bikes on the beautiful Julie Street Highway pedestrian path. And yeah, look at this, tons of people cycling. This is awesome. That would be a good day adventure, I would think. All right, so now that we have that in place, that is fantastic. We need to talk more about the bike lanes themselves. So I want to get a couple bike lanes in, and since we already had the bike lane going this way, we don't really need it, so we'll run the bike path perhaps along through here. All right, so we upgraded the roads here, so we actually put in a tram line that goes from down over here, loops around through, and then down the main street all the way to the train station. This is going to be very, very helpful for moving people around. We also have bike paths that run to here. We don't have them actually running into the city from this point. That's okay though. But we do have bike paths all the way through here, down all around in here, up and around through here. And then we actually have our sneaky little addition bike path right here, which brings us right into the city. So there are bike paths through here, but I just couldn't really get them right in this little pocket. So with that, we're going to need to make sure that we actually get a tram station in here. And I thought it was beneficial to get the tram station here because we have the capability to connect. If we put it in here, for example, we have the opportunity for it to connect through the forest into other areas through here so that other people don't need to build the tram station. So what are we going to be building in here? Well, we're going to be adding in a couple different zone types. Let's actually kind of mark those out for ourselves right now. So we're going to go into this small area here, and then just on the outside, we're going to make a separate district on this side, which is going to be a bit more on the suburban side of things. Smaller housing. I thought it would be good to kind of mix that together. So we'll get that all up in here, and yeah, so hopefully this works out. Actually, let's bring this one all the way into this area too, just in case we decide to fill out any smaller housing in this area. So we'll call this district Lord Kevin the Dog Station because of the train station. With that, let's start kind of building up. So I'm going to make this area a bit of an industrial pocket with the tram line, or the tram station. Just in this little area, just an industrial pocket. We don't have too much industry yet in the city, so I'm thinking that would be really useful. And then we'll cut apartment buildings all the way kind of through this core here. Then we'll look at building a bit of a park, not really too much of a park, but just enough to kind of get some paths going around. And then we'll do light residential through this side, with this area being a park. All right, so we have this little addition over here with our service point for the pedestrian zones. So I think that will work out really, really well, but I'm really enjoying how this is looking. We're really kind of rounding it out, making it seem pretty like thorough and somewhat realistic, I'm hoping. But there are a few more things that we still need to do in the episode, and that involves detailing. So we're going to be detailing up in these little pockets here, this little zone. We're going to be kind of destroying a bit of the walls as well, making them a bit more ruined looking. And then we're just going to add a very few amount of paths in here. We're not really going to do anything at all to the forest, but we'll run some paths through it. And if someone else wants to add to it, they for sure can. So yeah, we're at the detailing point in the episode, but we're pretty much done at this point. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the detailing. And with that, my Skyline 6 build for this round is complete. I had a ton of fun building the town of the dog, the medieval town of the dog. We'll just do a quick little recap here to finish things off. So we have our port area here for the town of the dog with a bit of a marketplace. We then come up to Lord Kevin's castle, or, King Kevin's castle. That's a lot of fun. And then we have our little hotel area over here, kind of filling out the port area. And then if we zoom out here, we can see that we have our residential community, lower density, medium density, with a service point right here for the pedestrian zones. We got a couple schools, and we have our train station and tram turnaround here. Really, really like this. We then have our industry area here with our tram depot that people can connect into. We have our park, which is just very simply placed down, and we have a quick little diamond interchange over here as well. Coming into the actual walled part of the medieval city itself, we have got some great parkland along the walls themselves and some really fun, unique asset placements. We have this one, which we took from Find It in the sub-buildings. We have our cathedral. Really like this building's placement here. We then have a couple town squares. I know they're parking lots right now, but maybe that's just because it's a work day. Maybe on weekends it's a market. We got some hotels as well. It's a ton of fun. And more park space in and around the city, which is always good. We have a pedestrian bridge connection to this island too, and a bit of an elevated area up here, which is really, really nice. I'm just gonna fall down right into here while I tell you a few things that are upcoming. Like that next episode will be made by the amazing Raid Kitty. I can't wait to see Raid Kitty's build. Same time next week, to watch that video. If you want to know the list of builders in the series, including the crew and the guest builders, it is in the description down below. Check it out. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to everyone involved in the series. If you want to find a list of all the mods and assets in the series, it is also in the description below, including some merch, which was also made by the amazing Raid Kitty. Check out our store. There are some amazing designs on the store. Also, join our Discord, the City of Friends, if you want to keep up to date on all things Skyline6 and all of the crew individually. The Discord's a ton of fun. It's a great place to hang out. Plus, you get to know things a little bit ahead of time. So, with that, folks, I hope you had a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Peace out.